for the week are teaching something that will help to sustain you. And today's word or our teaching is going to be given by Pastor Joseph Stansbury. We ask him to come on up and prepare himself. Can we just greet him with the hand applause? Hallelujah.
So, always got a little backstory, right? So, it ain't nothing big, but papers coming around. I think I made enough. We have enough? You need to make copies? Everybody got one? I believe so. We good? We have enough? Everybody look confused. Okay? Yes. No. Yes. Yes. We're good. Okay. Make some copies. Does my reader have one? That's the important thing. The reader does not have one, so we don't have enough. So the title, right? The things of Yah are natural. But I guess the more important part of the title is change your normal. Change your normal. Okay? So I always say I want you to hold on to the topic as we go through because it's going to stick with you. If you don't remember anything else I say, you should remember change your normal. Okay? So my backstory is I'm on YouTube, so I'm not going to say names, right? But I always have a struggle with a couple of people at work. It's always a little struggle, right? But it has use the yellow one. Use the yellow one. It's you're gonna be mad at me if you use that one. Yes, it's yellow. Lord, let's pray for our eyes. I changed the batteries. Yeah. It's forced me to grow and change what I think was normal, like something before has made me think about it in a different way, right? So as we go through this, like I said, keep your head on change your normal, okay? Read the first paragraph.
We as people, and especially saved people, act on tangible things more than believe in spiritual things. It is hard for us to believe that natural is the Hebrew word for the natural world. Hateva. Is that right? I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hativa has the same numerical value of the holy name, Elohim, meaning that our definition of nature is actually repeating miracles. If something happens predictably, we call it natural. When it happens once, we call it a miracle.
Okay. So we as people, right, we look at things and call it natural that are tangible to us. Like we see it, it's there, it's natural, it's normal, right? And that's just flesh, right? We see things as normal. We see things that happen to us all the time. We think it's normal. But what if I was to tell you our view of normal is actually backwards? What if I was to tell you things that are spirit are actually normal? And things that we see in the flesh are actually abnormal? You would look at me like you look at me now, right? Mm-hmm. Most of y'all looking at me like I'm crazy, right? But I always say language and perception of things is the way the enemy sneaks things in on us. So if he can flip the way we think about things to make it more difficult for us to achieve or attain spiritual normalcy, and it's more easier to get physical anger or physical things that are abnormal to us, it will keep us from a goal. Keep reading.
Hebrew in Hebrew is ever, and it means from the other side. So when you speak and study Hebrew, you are operating in the other side.
For us now, the way we're programmed, the other side is spiritual. It's hard to, you got to live like we were taught, live there from here. We always say you gotta put on a garment of praise. You gotta work extra to be spiritual, to align yourself with what Yah is putting you in. And the perception is always hard. But our perception needs to change. Our normal needs to change. It should be easy to act.
Easy.
And not easy to cuss. It should be easy to pray, easy to read the word. And that takes a change of normal. Because everybody else would think, okay, it's normal for it to be difficult to get in the spirit. Like, you got to work it up. Everything, like, you got to work it up to read the word. You got to work it up to open the book, right? We got to change our normal. And I love how Hebrew is structured, because it's always showing us where we need to be versus where we are. Mm-hmm. Keep reading.
The spiritual realm was here first. So spirit was and is normal. When sin entered the world, things became abnormal. Man was made a little lower than the angels.
Mm-hmm.
So think about it like this. Before the chair was made, it was made in somebody's spirit. It existed as it is now in somebody's spirit. And it wasn't abnormal for him to have the idea of a chair. It was abnormal when he created it, because it was the first thing here. They say, what's this? You mean it's supposed to hold me up? And it still should be the same way. This is why you are, your thoughts are more powerful than your deeds. Because as a man thinketh, so is he. You got to think about it first. The thought is as close to a spirit as it could possibly be. Out of the heart, the mind speaketh.
And you know what's deep too? Is that his people, us, he made his people with his mind. Mm-hmm. So we are very creative. Mm-hmm. And that's why we made everything you see.
Yep.
Just about.
So I want to go back and touch on Hativa, right? It's the same numerical value for the holy name Elohim. For our Hebrew scholars, right? Elohim is used to describe the creative side of Yahweh. And if you look back and see, it's going to take a King James Version to see this. Every time that there is a creation going on, that Yah is creating something, he's doing something. Elohim is used. There's another scripture that calls us little Elohims. So we have the same creative power that he does. Whenever he created something, he thought it first, and it was.
That's good right there.
So we have the same creative power. Whatever we think comes to us. Think about that. Whatever you think comes to us. How many times you've been like, oh, I hope this ain't what I think it is. And all of a sudden.
Abracadabra.
And this is us operating as normal and don't even realize it. Normal, I mean in spirit. So we gotta change our normal to see us operating in spirit first before we act in flesh. Keep reading.
Oh, it's the scriptures now.
Yeah, okay. So the screen doesn't work, guys. Remember, it still doesn't work. We got to struggle back there. But
I got it.
who's got Psalms 8 and 4?
I got it.
Okay.
When you look at your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and stars that you set in place. That's it. And the next one.
Yeah, look at the next one.
Oops, okay, so the next one says, it's Psalm 63:9, my heart clings to you, your right hand supports me. 111 and 5, he gives food to those who fear him. He remembers his covenant forever. 115 and 12 reads, Adonai has kept us in mind, and he will bless us. He will bless the house of Israel. He will bless the house of Aharon. The Garden of Eden was a normal life of abundance. In Hebrew, Eden means Gan or Gan?
Gone.
Gan, place of delight and contentment. Yahweh is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Hebrews 13 and 8 reads, Yeshua, the Messiah, is the same yesterday, today, and forever. He doesn't change his position. He can change his mind and still be God.
So the important fact is he has given us a power of creation, and he's given us a manual for how to use that creation in the thing we call natural. But we need to make sure that we first, just by these scriptures here, understand that he's given us a covenant, that he remembers us, and that he doesn't change in that covenant. So this should make our faith in what we have is normal stand or strong, right? We always doubt what we can do. We have a thought and then we doubt the thought. We cancel it out. But we need to have confidence in the power that he's given us. As you know, some of that comes in belief of teaching. Some of that just comes in doing it and have faith in what you're doing. But he's trying to bring us from a natural mindset to a supernatural mindset. And, you know, I don't want to attribute it to superheroes, but that's what all the movies are about nowadays, right? To superheroes, things that aren't normal are normal. Oh, let me go ahead and pick up this car. There's no doubt in it because they know they can do it. For us, praying over a bill is foreign because we don't know we can do it. So what, you got a bill that's a couple more digits than you was expecting. The natural thing is to cry about it. The supernatural thing is to pray over it. So what, you got bad news from a doctor or whoever. Be supernatural.
Fake news. Fake
Yeah,
news.
yeah. This is the only time we can use a Trump term and not be pissed off, right? It's fake news, right? Go ahead, read the next.
What does it mean to have faith from a Hebraic perspective? In our Western minds, faith is a mental exercise in knowing that someone or something exists or will act.
So I'm going to make the reference between Western mind and Hebrew mindset. Western mind, not to get all historical on you. When I say Western mind, it's going to be a Greek mindset, or it's going to be like a carnal mindset. Okay, and when we say Hebrew, it's going to be a spiritual mindset. Just so you understand the references I'm using. Okay.
For instance, if we say, I have faith in God, we are saying, I know that God exists and he will do what he says he will do. The Hebrew word for faith is emunah.
This is important. We've built or learned to trust an explanation of faith that's not powerful. I'll put it like that, powerful. We're going to read the definition of faith in a second. But faith, as we know it from Sunday school, or even a Western mindset, faith is not an action word. Right? If you have faith in something, you're just waiting for somebody to do it. I'm pretty sure they'll do it, so let me just wait on it.
I wish.
Yep, I wish it'll happen. Right? I mean, that's what it was for my Sunday school.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's no participation in faith other than wishing that it happens. Right? So this is what I'm saying. Now, if we look at Hebrew, it's a little bit different. Go ahead.
The Hebrew word for faith is emunah, Strong's number 530, and is an action-oriented word meaning support. This is important because the Western concept of faith places the action on the one you have faith in, such as faith in God.
Right? So there's no action on my part. If I got faith in you, that means you're going to do it. So I'm just going to sit around and wait for you to do it. Keep reading.
But the Hebrew word places the action on the one who supports God. It is not hoping that God will act, but rather I will do what I can to support God, however and whenever he does.
So faith actually means support or serve. So you can't have faith. There's a scripture that supports this. Faith without works is dead. So you can have faith in something but not work on it, and it's never going to happen. So this is why the action is on you to perform as you would to support a decision you know is going to happen.
Because you're supporting what
He already
said.
put in place.
Right.
So here it is. You get a word for a house. I see this house in the future. You know how they do, right? And you say, okay, I'm getting a house. But you never go apply for a loan. You never fix your credit. You never go look at a house. So if you don't do the steps it takes to support what was already said, you'll never get the end result.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I'm saying, we got to change our normal, because we have programmed ourselves as a church, not an assembly, a church, that entitlement comes with no work. So we expect the world, but expect to do nothing to get it. We expect all the riches with no supportive work behind it. And this is why it becomes a shifting of our mind from normal to abnormal, and then abnormal becomes normal. So when you look at something and it's so bad for so long it becomes normal, that's where we are now. And this is what he was telling me: change your normal. Abnormal should not be normal. Supernatural is normal. But we placed ourselves in a place of, I don't want to say laziness, but I'm going to just use that because it fits. For so long that we wonder why none of our prayers are answered, none of the promises are coming up to us. And it's because we haven't done the support to attain what he's already set in place. Keep reading.
It's Romans 10 and 17.
Okay.
So trust comes from what is heard, and what is heard comes through a word proclaimed about the Messiah. What's the next one?
Faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of Yah. It's sad when you hear like a third and fourth translation or something. You ever remember the game in school? You know, it was telephone or some. I think it was like. No, I'm thinking about monkey see, monkey do. That's something else. The telephone. You know, you say something, and other people say it, and it goes 20 ways down, and it is nothing what you said, like what you said before, right? This is how his word comes to us, especially when you don't read it. Right? You just let, 3 and 4 or 5, 6 people tell you something, and then you're like, oh yeah, that's the truth. And you never hear it for yourself. Then when you go read it, it was like, this ain't what they said. And then you're mad about it because it became normal.
It's true.
You be mad, this ain't what my mama told me. And this is how we get stuck. Abnormal became normal. And then we started supporting abnormal. We started expecting abnormal. And we never break past carnality.
Science slavery.
Yes.
Yeah.
Side note for everybody who cares to read it. The Willie Lynch letters. There's a section there about language that is still true, right? So you need to have like some Zoloft when you read this, right? Like make sure it's on a Friday so you can get 2 days to recover. Right? But it's true. Like it was set up, the enemy set it up like this. And it works, right? And you could still see it in practice today. I ain't gonna go into Willie Lynch letters, it's a whole other thing, right? But when you get a chance, go read it. It changes your life. But like I said, you need a couple of days to recover, right? Keep reading, I'm sorry.
Fine. It's 2 Corinthians 5 and 7. For we live by trust, not by what we see. And
Hold on. So read that one more time.
It's by faith.
we live by, all right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. By faith.
We live by trust, not by what we see.
So how many people you know live by what they see and not what they trust?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's Galatians.
How many people shaking their head do the same thing? I need to see it. I mean, I know what you're saying, but I need to see it. Or like, I don't see the numbers. Like, I mean, it ain't lining up.
Or we'll be like, if you say it, if this is true and it's you,
Blink the light 5
blink
times.
the light.
Yeah.
But it ain't what you see, because anybody can show you something. And this is how we get stuck. Because it ain't supernatural to flash a light. It's abnormal to flash a light. Keep reading.
Galatians 3 and 9. So then, those who rely on trusting and being faithful are blessed along with Abraham, who trusted and was faithful.
Who trusted and supported.
Full of faith. Mm.
So, I mean, it says it takes two parts. You got to trust, but then you got to support. And a person who does both is what? You didn't pass the scripture, didn't you? You scrolled out of it. It's faithful
and blessed.
and blessed.
Sorry.
So again, it goes back to you can't reap the benefits of something you don't support. Keep on.
You must understand the natural does not mean neutral. Natural is an ordained place. Neutral is a self-created place.
Neutral is a place of not moving. Like I don't care either way. I ain't going either way. But neutral can make you drift backwards. Anybody ever drove a manual car? Yeah. You know, if you're in neutral, you can't go forward. By power, at least. Where you can't go, you could go back. But there's no thing either holding you in place or driving you forward. In a spiritual sense, or in a sense of a person, neutral is like I ain't trying to get involved in nothing. It's a place of stagnation. And what happens to anything that sits for too long? It spoils. And it rots. That's good. Because if it sits too long, it's going to start stinking. It's going to deform. It's going to shrivel up. Right? It's going to be nasty. Rude. Sharp. Spiteful. Hurting. Lashing out. Yeah, you pass death at that point,
Yeah.
right? You know. But he hasn't called us to be neutral, right? He's called us to move. In order to do that, we got to change our normal. Keep going.
Romans 1 and 26, 27, and 31. This is why God has given them up to degrading passions, so that their women exchange natural sexual relations for unnatural. And 27, and likewise the men, giving up natural relations with the opposite sex, burn with passion for one another, men committing shameful acts with other men, and receiving in their own persons the penalty appropriate to their perversion. 31 reads, they are brainless, faithless, heartless, and ruthless. 11 and 21, you want to talk?
Keep on.
11 and 21. For if God did not spare the natural branches, he certainly won't spare you. 24. For if you were cut out of what is by nature a wild olive tree and grafted, contrary to nature, into cultivated olive tree, how much more will these natural branches be grafted back into their own olive tree?
The point I wanted to drive home there is if you stay in a natural state long enough, you're cut off, right? You start to become faithless because nothing you have a desire for is going to happen because you don't support anything. And then at that point, you're given over to a retrograde mind, right? Because back to the point, we weren't called to be neutral. So now things that are abnormal become normal, right? And that was the Romans 1, 26, 27, 31. Things that are abnormal then become normal. And look at the state of the U.S. Things that are abnormal have become normal. They're getting rates now. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I'm against equality or whatever you want to do is fine. But I mean, if you come to serve the Lord, there's a certain standard you got to live by. But I mean, I don't like calling it civil rights, right? It ain't the same thing. It ain't the same thing, right? But you see the point is when you become neutral, when you don't support something, the exact opposite becomes normal. So again, we need to change our normal. Go ahead and read the next bit.
The phrase natural man, it comes from Greek words. What is this? Psychisos?
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. It's close enough, right? It's Strong's. G is Greek. So Greek Strong's 5591.
Okay. And anthropos, Strong's G444. Oh boy. Psychikos refers to the sensuous nature that belongs to a brute. It refers to the life force that gives rise to a wild animal. This term is related to the more famous Greek words psyche, meaning the breath of life or the soul. And this root was borrowed by the English word psychology. You must understand that the New Testament was written mainly to the Gentile minds.
Absolutely.
So, back to my reference of spiritual or Western mindset versus Hebrew, or Greek versus Hebrew, and flesh versus spirit. So the Greeks, if you do, history lessons or study history at all, the Greeks were very open in fleshly things, right? Very sensuous, very feely, sex everywhere. Like the Olympics was naked, right? Like that kind of very open and stuff. Yeah, the original Olympics in Greece, they played naked. In the arena, like they was just wilding out. So they were very in touch with flesh and sexuality, and just let it all do whatever you feel like, right? As opposed to the Hebrews, which had a very strict set of guidelines and rules about everything, including sexuality, all of that. So this is why Greek is attributed to unsanctification, unholiness, and Hebrew is called out, set apart. You know what I mean? Sanctification. So the Greek mindset, the way of operation for Greek was to kind of take over a thing. So we in America, or we in the world in general, except for like the Middle Eastern cultures, right, have been kind of overrun by Greek thoughts. And to a Hebrew, that should have been abnormal. Wasn't hearing that. But when we think about psyche and psychology and the way things are applied to us now, even in the school systems, we got some teachers here, like, even in the school systems, there's plans and meetings and lots of talks about how to, cultivate children's psyches and how to do stuff. And just even the thought of it is to cultivate an abnormal experience. So it's embedded and rooted in us to think a certain way. And then I understand that when you see it in a different way, it's like, I don't know, I think they're crazy, right? But we can see it if we look back. Like, so the word psyche here is based on feeling your flesh and acting on what you feel in your flesh. So in order for us to fully experience what Yah has for us, we all know that we need to come out of our flesh and into the spirit.
Absolutely.
So the flesh is preached to us as normal. You're going to feel it because you're here and you in an earthen body and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, and the Lord knows where you at. And then in his time and you're going to experience the things of him. It's one or the other, right? It's come on over. So the wool over our eyes is that it takes time. Experience is experience. But a decision is a decision. And that's the wool over our eyes. That's why it takes us so much to get to where we expect to be. It's because we're fighting through wool over our eyes. Read this next scripture.
1 Corinthians?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 1 Corinthians 15:44. When sown, it is an ordinary human body. When raised, it will be a body controlled by the Spirit. If there is an ordinary human body, there is also a body controlled by the Spirit. 46. Note, however, that the body from the Spirit did not come first, but the ordinary human one, the one from the Spirit, comes afterwards.
So the body was created as a shell, and then the spirit was blown into it. Okay, but the purpose of the body is for the spirit to control it. Now we've been living in an era that says do whatever feels good. But that's the exact opposite of the way Yah has designed us. Because doing whatever feels good is temporal, right? It's temporary. It don't last long. And the same way as the body is temporal. It's only here for a little bit. But your spirit's here longer than that. So really what we call natural is supposed to be controlled by spiritual. And the only thing it doesn't, and the only place that doesn't happen in is humans. Right? Spiritual things control natural events all the time. The only thing we have problems with is when it comes to humans. You mean God's going to control me? What? We hate being controlled.
It's true.
Free will. It's a free country. I'm American. But that's the point of it. And this is where, again, we have to change our normal. So I got a couple more sentences, then I'm gonna sit it down. But this is how we've been flipped around. Like sickness, we say everybody gets sick eventually. Sometime everybody gets sick.
It's unnatural.
Not normal. Did Adam get sick? Did we hear about anybody in the Bible getting, all the old heads, right? Noah, Moses. We hear about any of them getting sick? They lived like 950 years old, right? We ain't hear about no cancer. We didn't hear about a cold, like they ain't even get allergies. Because it's not natural. But we live in a place now where we think it is, right? And it's the ultimate turn. How much can you limit a person by making them think that bad stuff is normal and they start expecting bad stuff? We live in a place where hatred is natural. Hatred gets you into the White House. When did that become natural, right? Keep reading. I'm gonna close after this. Natural and supernatural.
Okay. Natural and supernatural. To say one is supernatural is to say that there is another plane behind the one that Yah already put in place.
So we use super as an adjective. My teacher's gonna like this. Right? So natural would be the noun. It's the thing that's always there. And then super makes it a descriptive adjective. So we say natural is the thing that's always there, right? And to say super, oh, that's extra. That's something else. That's a different level. Right? Keep on.
More simply put, natural is flesh, but supernatural is spiritual. Natural is Greek. Supernatural is Hebrew roots. Super should not be treated as a descriptive adjective. It's a normal everyday thing when we live above and not beneath.
So the whole point is to get us to live as the head and not the tail. When you live behind the mark, it makes you think that living at the mark is extra. It's not normal to think that I'm subnormal. I'm not good enough to get what was promised. Because the promise is the mark, right? The promise is what is supposed to be there. Like you expect to get in your car and turn it on. It was designed to turn on and go, right? So if you get in your car and like, oh, I hope it starts today, that ain't normal, right? Buy a new car, right? But we've forced ourselves into a place of hoping things happen. That's supposed to happen on a regular. And it's become our normal. So the point of the message today is we need to change our normal. What's the scripture that he'll grant you what you
If you think, he'll give you above what you ask.
or think? So I would like more than normal, right? I would like more than a mark. So I'm at least thinking that, I'm going to make the mark, right? Like, do you want the mark or do you want more? So we need to change our normal. I mean, any questions, comments? Oh, we didn't. Sure. I don't know. We didn't put the mics out. For those who are new, you can come up, ask questions, get clarity, whatever you need to do. We have that freedom here. Everybody just see the back of your head on the stream. Oh, okay. Hebrew is structured and it has a base of a numerical value. So each letter, as you can see on the wall, each letter has a number. Mm-hmm. And the sum of the letters that make a word have a numerical value. This is how, so back in the day, you can pick up books in the library that didn't have vowel markings and all, like the, Seirei, Patak, Kametz. But each letter identified a word, so it helped you know, if you didn't get it through context, you would know by the numerical value if a word was the same or not.
So if I saw 6 in the box,
Say it one more time, I'm sorry.
if I saw number 6 in the particular word, I knew that box.
Yes.
Bob,
Yes. It's a study tool. You would never see 6 in the Bible, but you may see if you go to Israel, and you see somebody write something down, they may do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or they may write,
Vav.
Aleph, Bet, Vet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Tav. They might do that.
Yeah.
So really, it's a point of reference. But when you go look up words, just because we weren't back in Hebrew times, and you might see the same word, but it's not actually the same word. And that's the ultimate value, is you go look up what the number is, and if it's the same number, you're good. Mm-hmm. Any other questions, comments? So y'all know my saying, I say what I need to say, and I go sit down. So, bless you. Who's taking the mic? Who's taking the mic? One of y'all taking the mic? And Dad Brand. And Dad Brand, so you're going to take the mic, right?
I mean, so basically we have to be born again, y'all. I keep saying y'all. My Southern's coming out. We have to be born again.
Mishpaha, family.
Nishpaha.
Mishpaha,
Mishpaha.
family.
Family. We have to be born again, family. We have to see things in a different light. Oh, bye, streamers. I'm glad that you could be with us. I hope you learned a lot today. And see beyond the natural, dig into the supernatural, hear the word, be doers of the word. Don't just go by what you see. Come by next week. We'll be here again. Bye. Shabbat shalom.
Shalom Shabbat.